Hi, I'm Ethan Brennan. My family and I started Burgers and Bands. You are not alone. We started Burgers and Bands because back in high school I really struggled with depression and some anxiety, but mostly suicidal ideation and self-harm. I came from Savannah Park High School, which is known as Suicide High. Because we came from Savannah Park with such a high suicide rate, after I went through this and we started to talk to people, we realized that everybody is struggling, just nobody is saying it. So we really started to just share our story. We started with these 24-hour walks, which were insane. They were so much fun, but crazy, painful. You'd end up hallucinating by the end of it. My mom at one point started crying because she thought somebody knocked a porta potty over. It was that kind of mental strain. And we didn't raise a lot of money or awareness. 2 years ago, I guess, we started it in a day. My mom was in the car and she had this great idea, and we called the Bonks, who donated enough money to get shirts, and we called Pretty Academy, and they're like, we got bands for the day, and called the Tap House, and they gave us a location. And so it just started so quickly. All in one day we got this put together, and it all started because of how I struggled in high school. So when I was going through depression, one of my biggest coping skills was self-harm. It ended up becoming an addiction, which, as it does, it kind of ruled my life for years. It got to a point where I couldn't make it through a class without self-harm. In the end, after 6 or 7 years of struggling with it, I finally just decided I had enough. I didn't want it to control my life anymore. I didn't want to have 4 pages on my agenda filled out saying I was going to the bathroom, because I went in every class just so I could self-harm, and it was really hard. And so finally I kind of decided, even if I wasn't happy, I needed to find a different way to cope with it. And so I started going to AA meetings, because they don't really have self-harm meetings other than online. So I went to these AA meetings and people were incredibly supportive. I would do little rewards. My friends and I would joke about it. If I could make it a week, we would go and get crepes. Or if I could make it a day, I'd go and get hot chocolate after school. Things like that. It sounds silly, but the little things, the little motivators really help you get through it. There were so many relapses. I tried to stop self-harming for 4 years, and it's been 2 years now since my last. I'm pretty proud of. It's the longest I've ever been. So it was a big struggle, but in the end, I finally just decided that I didn't want to not hang out with friends or have to wear a hoodie in the middle of summer because I had scars or cuts or anything like that. One of the things I do now is teach. So I work with kids a lot. Kids ask all the questions. I'm constantly going up, and I have a kid who comes and says, "What did you do to your arm?" And sometimes you just say, I fell off a bike. Or sometimes you say, I really struggled at one point, but now I'm okay. It makes you face it and come to terms, which I didn't do very well for a long time, and now I finally have. And that has made it a lot easier to deal with things. You have to come up with other kind of coping skills. So quite honestly, I got in really good shape. Every time I would self-harm, I'd do 10 push-ups, which meant I did a lot of push-ups every day. Things like that would really help. I had one friend who, when she was struggling with alcohol, not self-harm, but a similar kind of situation to coping, she would go and play with Nerf guns. Being able to shoot cans off of a wall was enough to help her get through something. I finally said I had enough, and I found something else that worked. Maybe not as well as I had hoped, because when it comes to addictions, things don't work out as well. But it did with practice. So one of the other things I struggled with, especially in high school, was an eating disorder. It was so much of just hating my body. I couldn't figure it out. And then finally, about 3 or 4 years ago, it started to click. I was born female, and that's not how I felt. And it was these weird moments in which I'd be sitting in the car driving, and I look down, I'm like, my arm looks masculine. I like that. Over the years, I kind of figured out that I was trans. And that was something that never occurred to me to be an option before. And in hindsight, it really should have. Thinking about being a kid, we would play house and I'd be the dad. There was a Princess and Knights party, I went as the king. But it took me so long to figure out that I was trans, and it was something I struggled with, and I didn't even know I was struggling with it. And it fueled so much of my body dysphoria and self-hate and all this stuff that contributed to my depression. About 2 years ago, I came out as trans, and 2 years ago, I stopped self-harming. Once I figured it out, I could really start accepting myself as who I am. It even got to a point where, I meet people, and if they aren't immediately accepting of being trans, that's okay, because I'm accepting of it. I'll meet people, and I don't say, hey, I'm trans. I just, hey, I'm Ethan. That's the end. And I used to do the same thing when I thought I was gay. I just casually mentioned, yeah, me and my girlfriend did this. People who thought they couldn't accept it were finally realizing that, just because I'm trans or just because I'm gay doesn't mean I'm different. Doesn't mean that I can't be like them. They can't accept me. And it was this kind of aha moment for both me and my mom, where we would meet people who were otherwise not extremely supporting of LGBT community, who meet me and then they're like, oh, I get it. I see that you're just a human. You're like me. This is really nothing different. And I think seeing them react that way to me has helped me be comfortable with myself, but it's also my comfort that I think helps them with it. You are not alone.